adversity is going to come. That this is how life works, the ups and downs, the hiccups, the times that life wants to punch you in the throat, punch you in the mouth. Question is, are you going to get back up? How quickly are you going to get back up? Do you have a plan for adversity? Do you have a plan for what happens when things don't go your way? Do you have a plan for when things are not going to go your way? And what do? Do you have a plan for adversity? Because we're all going to get it. It's all going to strike us. It's all going to hit our families. It's all going to hit around us. But what do you do from that? That's how we stay mentally tough. That's how we get emotionally stable. That's how we learn how to build the capacity to handle what life is going to throw our direction. It's through these types of things. It's understanding that the adversity comes. It's about how we handle it. Most importantly, it's about understanding that you got to take responsibility for your life. The entrepreneur mindset, I've talked about this a bunch because a lot of times we think about entrepreneurship just as like not having a job. It's really not it. Entrepreneur mindset, right? It's about ownership. It's about responsibility. It's about saying, if it is to be, it's up to me. If anything good is going to happen in my life, I have to make it happen. If anything in my circumstance is going to change, I have to make it happen. It's not going to be because of anything around me. No one's coming to save me. Nobody's going to help me out. I have to make it happen. That's the mindset of ownership. That's the mindset of taking responsibility for your life. I think it might have been Les Brown in there, said something like, right, you got yourself into this, you can get yourself out of this. So no matter where you are in life, got yourself into it, you can get yourself out of it. But do you take that responsibility? I talked to you on Wednesday about, right, kind of the inner world creates your outer world. So the only things you can control are what? Your attitude and your actions, what you do on a daily basis, how you maneuver, where you spend your time, and then your attitude, your mindset, how you think about things. Someone can get cut off in a car and have extreme road rage, and it ticks them off for 5 minutes going down the road. Another person could get cut off and it not mean anything to them. They have control over their attitude differently, right? We can control those things. So that's what we have to do, control our actions and our attitudes, and then watch how our lives improve. The message I want you to take from it is we have to take responsibility of our life. No blaming, no finger pointing. No, it's no one's fault. We are where we are because of us, because of our decisions, because of our choices. Our health is where it's at because of our choices, because of our decisions. Our finances are where they're at because of our choices, of our decisions. It's not good, bad, and different. It's just a matter of taking responsibility for where you are. That is the first step to designing the life that you want. That's the first step to getting to greatness, is saying, I accept exactly where I'm at right now. I accept all the decisions and choices I've made up to this point. And now I know I have the ability to make different choices, to think about things differently so I can take different actions, so I can make different decisions. But first and foremost, got to take responsibility. So that's what it says here in 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. It says the great ones take responsibility. It says one of the critical factors separating amateurs from pros is responsibility. People operating at the poverty and working class levels of awareness often see themselves as victims of the powerful. They create invisible mental barriers that in their minds hold them back from moving up. They blame other people for keeping them down, such as their parents, friends, others of influence during their childhood. People in the middle class level of awareness are more evolved, but tend to make safety and security their number one priorities. They hold on so tightly to what they have that they fail to see the real abundance staring them straight in the face. Average people in this category are terrified of losing what they have because their mind is submerged in the cesspool of scarcity. People at this level truly believe that their supply of money is limited, and if they lose what they have, they will never get it back. The majority of the population has this belief. People operating at the upper class levels of awareness tend to be unafraid, aggressive, ultra-competitive warriors who approach life like a battle. They know there's an abundance, and they're out to get it. The upper class tends to operate primarily from their ego. People at the world class levels are a step ahead of the upper class simply because they operate from their spirit self rather than their ego self. The great ones have a thought process, philosophy, and habit all rolled into one that overshadows the rest. I am responsible. Say that again. I am responsible. The world class realizes they are completely responsible for their success or failure, as well as responsible for giving back some of the blessings bestowed upon them as a result of their tremendous success. Operating from a world class level of awareness almost always precedes their success. The great ones keep marching forward, making a difference in themselves and the world. Operating from a world class level of awareness almost always precedes the success, meaning you have to think that way before you become that thing, right? You have to think world class. You have to think at a world class level. You have to have the awareness of a multimillionaire. You have to have the awareness of someone that is world class in order to see that in your life, in order to actually achieve the success, in order to actually get there. You think it and then you become it. Understand that's how this works. Because sometimes we grow up under the belief that I have to see it, then I can believe it. Let me first see with my eyes that that is possible, and then I can believe it. Well, most successful people are the opposite way. We think about it in our mind so that we can see it. Slight difference makes a huge, right? Huge change in trajectory of your life. So operating from a world-class level of awareness always precedes the success. But all of this is saying you have to take responsibility and ownership for all the things that happen in your life. All of it, right? The good, the successes, the failures, all of the stuff is up to you. So this is why getting yourself mentally prepared for this journey, mentally prepared for what's up ahead is so important, because it is on you. It's a good thing that you have people that you can fellowship with, that we have these types of calls where you can jump in and kind of get a little bit of insight, get a little bit of inspiration and motivation. You can get into a group, right, where we're all having these conversations and we're all helping each other go down that path of getting to our ideal life. But at the end of the day, we have to prepare ourselves for life. We have to prepare ourselves for the life that we're asking for. Again, this isn't a message for everyone, because not everyone wants to grow and improve their life. But for those of us that do, we have to know that the life that we're asking for, whatever it is that you're praying about, whatever it is that you're asking for, you have to now grow into that person. You now have to build yourself into that person. You don't just trip and fall and then it kind of lands on that thing that you want. It's through adversities, it's through the challenges, it's through the failures, it's through the learnings, it's through the conversations, it's through all of the stuff that you become the person that now has the capacity to get the life that you want. Whether that is being financially free, time free, starting a nonprofit, saving, right, people that don't have food, like whatever your thing, the thing is that you're going after, whatever the life is, saving your family, building a bunker, like whatever. You got to build yourself into that person. The only way we do that is taking responsibility for every aspect of our life. Every aspect. Our lives changed when we really took ownership of our income. We took responsibility for our income, right? A lot of times that's the first place we have a form of, you know, for lack of better terms, a form of victim mentality is in our job life. The job doesn't pay us what we're worth. The job doesn't give us a raise. Our boss doesn't give us the hours, right? No one's calling back from the resume. It becomes this thing where we don't have the responsibility for ourselves making the money. We give it to someone to validate it. That's the first place we kind of pick that up a bunch. And so learning how to take responsibility and take ownership of even just your income, saying, I'm going to figure out a way to make an extra $1,000 this month. Like not from another job, like from my own skill sets, my own resources, my own knowledge, my own willpower. Like I'm going to learn how to just take responsibility and ownership of just my income. That's one place to start. You can do the same thing in your health. I'm going to take responsibility of my health. There's some doctors that, some people I know don't go to doctors specifically because they don't help you with your day-to-day things, right? Like if you get shot or you need surgery or you got some major sickness, absolutely, you got to go to them. But there's a lot of people that take ownership and take responsibility of their health. They read some different things. They understand different things about different forms of medicine, different things that are healing. So they take ownership, they take responsibility for their health, and then they make decisions, and it turns out the way that they want it. Some people, again, take responsibility for their relationships that they're in. I remember Tony Robbins, for those of you that are in marriage, right, or long-term relationships, Tony Robbins used to always say, you go to a marriage, you go into a relationship to give, not to get. You go into a relationship to give, not to get. And sometimes we don't know that. We go into a relationship long term, we think that we're supposed to get something from that other person. They're supposed to make us some way. No, we go into that relationship to give. That is taking responsibility for your relationship. You see, every area of your life that you want to improve, you have the ability to take responsibility for it and say, if it is to be, it's up to me, right? Me and God, we're going to make this thing happen. But I'm not waiting on anybody else. I'm not blaming anybody else. I'm not, caring about how anyone else handles that. I take responsibility. It's a trait. It's a trait. It's a habit. It says here, it's a philosophy, all this stuff rolled into one. But it's how you want to live your life if you want to improve your life, if you want to get to your ideal life. These are the things that you have to start to put into place. These are the things that you have to start to practice. None of this stuff might come naturally to you. It might not come naturally, right, for a while if you're not used to it. But once you build the habit, once you practice taking responsibility and taking ownership for things, your life will change. It will. It will. Here's this quote. It says, success on any major scale requires you to accept responsibility. In the final analysis, the one quality that all successful people have is the ability to take on responsibility. You have to be responsible. You have to take on the responsibility and the ownership of your life, of the things you want to make happen. Remember, we listened to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he talked about, right, like your thoughts, right? Being able to capture your thoughts, being able to change your thoughts. You have to even take responsibility and ownership over how you think. That didn't come just because that's your culture, or that's just because that's how you were raised, or because that's what you saw all your life. That's fixed mindset. That is you saying that you can't change, that things aren't different. That's just how you were raised. Well, no, you can be different. You can take responsibility for how you think. You don't have to pass that down to your children. You don't have to give that to your grandchildren. You don't have to spread that same mindset. You can take responsibility for it. That's the message, yo. You got to take responsibility for the things you want to change. The action step for today says commit to taking total responsibility for everything that happens to you. This one change in thinking has the power to launch you to the world-class level faster than any other single idea. Just taking total responsibility for everything that happens to you. Taking total responsibility for the situations that you're in. And knowing if you got yourself into it, you can get yourself out of it. If you need to understand how to get out of it, you don't understand how to get out of it, remember this one Albert Einstein quote. He said that a problem can't be solved at the same level of consciousness that it was created. A problem can't be solved at the same level of consciousness that it was created. So while you got yourself into a problem, you got yourself into a financial situation, you got yourself into some type of health situation at your level of consciousness. So how do you get out of it? You have to first raise your level of consciousness, think differently, think higher, get more information, learn more about it. Then you can pull yourself out of that problem. If you change your thinking, you change your life. That's the philosophy. That's how it works. If you change how you think, your life will change. It's said many different ways, but that is the principle. So that's how you get yourself out of any of the problems or the challenges you have. You raise your level of thinking. You take responsibility for your thoughts and your mindset. get them to a higher level, and then we start to grow and change that way. I know, easier said than done. I get it. I get it. I know it's hard. I know it's a challenge. I know it's not always what you want to hear to start your Fridays, but it's true. It's something we got to work on. It's something we got to practice on because we only get one life, y'all. We only get one. We don't come back. This is it. This is it. We don't want to arrive safely at death. That's not the goal. The goal is not just play this thing as safe as possible. No hiccups, no bumps in the road, no bruises, none of that. And let's just arrive and die. That's not it, right? We came to live this thing. You have a life that you want to get to. God gave you a vision for something. You have something in your mind. You have to go after that. You just got to become a different person to get it. It's going to force you. It's going to force you to change. It's going to force you to grow. It's going to force you to learn. It's going to force you to sacrifice some things in order to get to that ideal life, but it's worth it. Easier said than done, but it's worth it. So I encourage you all to push. Use this weekend, push yourself out of your comfort zone, do something that scares you. We'll be back next Monday for another one. Love you guys. Enjoy your Friday. Take care.